Do you disagree?
I don't believe that it's sexist, no.
So you don't. Okay, so hold on. Is it racist, the picking the bear over the black person?
I'm not answering it.
You're not answering it because you know the answer reveals.
No, it's not right. It's not. I'm not doing that. It's just below.
So just to be clear, it's okay to make this analysis of men, but when it comes to race, not okay.
I'm not going to touch that topic now.
I'm not asking you to
because I'm not racist.
I'm sure no, but I'm sure you would agree. Like, would you pick?
You're saying a person, and you're not saying a man. You're saying a person, a black person.
Right.
That's why I don't know who it is.
I love your justification of sexism towards men. This is great. This is wonderful. So me personally, if I was given the option between a black person and a bear, I'm picking the black person. I'd prefer to be whether it's a man, whether it's a woman.
Right, because
don't care.
You're a man. You've never had to feel the way a woman feels about being alone with a man she doesn't know.
I've been the victim of a violent crime, so I know, yeah, I'm fine making this determination. Even if I wasn't the victim of a violent crime,
Okay, we're not talking about violent crime, we're talking about sexual abuse in this case.
Yeah, men can also be victims of SA.
Right, so...
Wait, are you pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm pro-choice.
So a woman who's never had an abortion, can she have a position on abortion?
A woman who's never had one?
A woman who's never been pregnant, never had an abortion, is she allowed to have an opinion on abortion?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm a man. I'm allowed to have an opinion on something.
Right,
regardless
and so
of my
am
gender.
I.
Huh?
And I'm a woman. We're all allowed to have opinions, period, on anything.
Yeah, but you just tried to dismiss my opinion because I'm a man.
In what way?
The way you just did. You said, well, you don't know how it is to be, and then you goalpost shifted. And I was like, I've actually been victim of a violent crime before. But then, let's talk about SA. Okay, well, so? Just because, so in order to have a position or opinion on something, you must have gone through said dilemma. I think starving children in Africa, that's a bad thing. I think that's bad.
Helps when you've been through it, yeah.
I mean, I've been hungry, but I haven't been a starving child in Africa. I think starving children in Africa is a bad thing. Am I not allowed to think that?
Most women in this country and almost in the world have had that happen to them. So some form of SA.
Sure, I'll go. I mean, there's disputes as to the incidence rate of that crime. I'll go ahead and grant it for the sake of the conversation. So, what does that have to do with the argument at hand?
That every woman I've talked to has been through that, including myself.
You know what? Here, I'll even grant 100. Every single woman has been brutally gang raped. What does that have to do with the argument at hand? Bad thing happened to woman. Okay, cool. I get it. What does that have to do with the argument at hand?
I'm still not answering the question about the bear person.
You don't want to answer it because it would reveal your just blatant man-hating and sexism.
It's not man-hating.
It literally is.
Man-hating is crazy. You're reaching.
Yeah.
How is that? How's that reaching?
Everybody at this table but you know that.
Okay.
You're a man-hater.
I'll reframe it again. If I pick bear over black person, does that mean that I hate black people? Would that point towards racism or hatred of black people?
No.
Well, you know what? It might not point towards hatred, but you would agree that it's racist.
I would agree that it's racist.
Okay.
But I do think that she's just saying that you can't really speak on what women feel because you're not a woman. That's what she's saying. She's not saying that because you're a guy.
Why do I need a uterus to have an opinion on something?
It's just we don't understand what you go through as a man.
Trying to
because we're not men.
Yeah, you're trying to get us to view your head. Just earlier with the jujitsu, men view this way. You don't know how men think. Okay, you don't know how women think. Men and women think differently. Doesn't make you sexist.
But it kind of does.
Then you're sexist too.
How would that be sexist?
Your whole podcast is sexist.
Why is it sexist?
You literally come on here. You literally come on here to try to provoke women on purpose with all of these questions.
Sure. I'm happy to get into that. No, that's totally fine. I'm happy to dive into that. Can you define sexism for me though, first?
We only got
Hold on.
10 minutes.
What?
Minutes of what? We only got
Stop. No, we got more time than that. We're going
Isn't
late.
it to have double standards based on sex?
Yeah, I didn't ask you. How do you define sexism?
Sexism is to be mistreated in the workplace, honestly. If you're not getting the same rights as a man, I think that's sexist.
Okay. So your definition, okay, I see. So sexism can only impact women? Like, you can't be sexist towards men, is what you're saying?
You can, but
But what?
it's not in terms of safety reality. Like it's different than
Men are more likely to be victims of violent crime. So men absolutely.
Okay, but you're talking about violent crime, so we're not talking about essay.
Safety, violent
We're also
crime.
not talking about essay. It's
Well, also, it's kind of convenient if the definition of grape makes it impossible for it to be something that can happen to a man.
it's not impossible.
Yeah. Based off the definition, depending on the framing, yeah, it can be impossible for it to be something that can be done to a man. So of course it's going to affect the statistics that feminists espouse if it can't be actually something that's done to a man.
What do you mean? Of course, a man can be graped.
There are specific jurisdictions where, based on the definition of the actual crime of rape, it is impossible for a man to be victim of the crime. A woman can't grape. You can make some arguments, stronger arguments as it pertains to, like, if a man grapes another man, but, like, specifically, there are jurisdictions where, like, a woman could not legally, like, definitionally rape.
Then that's wrong. It's
Yeah, but that's how
absolutely
it
possible.
is.
Well, then
But
that's
so that
wrong. It doesn't
skews-
just because that's how it is doesn't mean
but
it's
that,
not.
That goes ahead and
that's
skews
wrong.
all the stats related to that.
Doesn't just because something is the way it is doesn't make it right.
So let's
it
get back
should
to this-
definitely
sure.
be illegal for a woman to do that to a man.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
That should be a crime. So
It is a crime, whether they like to say it or not.
yeah,
That's
but
disgusting.
it's not categorized as grape. It's categorized as like a essay. So
That's wrong.
okay. So anyways, how do you define sexism?
I mean, that's a great example. What
What do you mean? What's a great example?
it's if it graping a man by
No,
a
I'm
woman.
not looking for examples of sexism. I'm looking for your definition of sexism.
To be discriminatory towards a man. Like,
Well, I would say it can apply to men or women, obviously. So,
okay, yeah, to be discriminatory
but okay,
towards
you
the
said
opposite
this
sex
podcast is sexist. How do you define sexism?
I mean, you come on here to tear apart a lot of things that women believe in themselves about, like,
So you think it's sexist to tell a woman that she's like not a 10, for example?
It's sexist to say that not every, like, there's no 10s in this world.
That wouldn't be sex. I could say if that was like a blanket
I
statement.
guess that wouldn't be sexist. That would be like your opinion.
I mean, I would say that.
I think sexism
about
is just
men and women, but
treating someone unfairly based on
Being
what their
a-
sex
yeah.
is,
Prejudice.
male or.
Okay, let's take that definition. Treating people unfairly based on their sex, so that applies to men and women. So do you agree that you hold a view that we should acknowledge and defend and enforce the violation of rights? Yes?
acknowledge and defend.
Anyone?
Say
Does
it again.
anyone disagree with the statement, we should acknowledge and defend and enforce the violation of rights?
Yes, we
Yeah.
should.
Okay, we should. Okay, so in order to do that, isn't it the case that relies wholly on the collective of men to do that? That couldn't happen with the collective of women?
So you're saying women can't change things in the world?
That's right. Collectively, yes. When it comes to force and enforcement, you couldn't collectively get a group of women to enforce or remove rights. But a collective of men could do it, right?
It's sexist to say that, yeah. That's a sexist thing to say that women couldn't change
Well, no,
something.
it's descriptively true that you, as women, rely on collectively men to defend and enforce the violation of rights.
That's like saying Rosa Parks did nothing.
Wait.
What?
I'm just like, women can change
What the
the...
fuck? What the I just literally reset my Nintendo. Isn't it the case that let's take it simple, okay? Rights themselves. The violation of rights requires an enforcement arm, right? So if you violate someone's rights, a group of men with muscle and guns come in and take you away, correct? And let's make it simple with crayons, right?
Okay, group of men
Yes.
taking you with guns.
What? I'm mumbling now.
I said okay.
Okay, so if that's the case, the appeal to rights itself supposes a discriminatory expectation and obligation for men collectively that doesn't apply to women. So to believe in rights and to advocate for rights, women's rights, the fact that you rely wholly on a collective of men to enforce those rights and the violation of such is sexist. You're discriminatory toward men to do that for you. Why? Because you guys can't do it yourself collectively. Are you sexist?
What makes you say that? What makes you say that? What makes you say that?
What makes I say that? What kind of question is that?
What
the fuck? What kind of question
and
is
see,
that?
the way you talk to women is also degrading. Like you're talking to us.
Yeah, tone
pretty
policing.
rudely.
I mean, it's just tone policing, but.
Oh, so you literally addressed nothing I said. None of what I said just went through your little brain. Is there anyone on the panel who understands what I just said?
Sometimes it's hard when you're
I'm
just being
checked out.
rude to understand with that tone of voice.
Tone policing. Anyone? That didn't
So-
answer the question. Chair 1, do you understand what I just said?
Yes.
Can you give it back to me? Because I honestly think no one else on the panel can. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
I do believe that other women on this panel could give it back to you, but since you asked me, I will. You're saying that in order to have power, there needs to be an enforcing arm, so that women need men to enforce their rights. Otherwise, the rest of men will proceed to take them away, and vice versa, that women don't have that systemic ability. So women need men in order to give them their rights, because they cannot form, like all women cannot overpower all men.
Beautiful. Is that discriminatory? I'm not making a judgment about the discrimination, by the way. I'm just asking you, is that discriminatory?
No, that's not discriminatory. That's just based in facts.
It's just based in fact. So the fact is that there's a delineation, a clear distinction between men and women in regards to what they are, how they are, what they're capable of. And for people to even claim sexism either way, right? There's no way of escaping this problem, that men and women are different. Even if you point to some sort of weird exception to the rule, for the most part, I don't think I could have put it better myself than Chair 1. She gave it back perfectly. Descriptively, it's the case that women rely on men and assume the obligation of collective men to protect their rights. But they don't assume that for women. Now, how is it related to the bear thing? It is related because Brian, you know, as high effort as he tried to do with you guys, he drew out this problem, this double standard you guys have with the bear, and another statistical element of race and crime. You guys couldn't engage with it, so we're going to skip to the male-female thing. Is it sexist to assume and expect protection from men? Is it sexist to assume that and expect it from men, but you don't expect it from women? Just silence. Just like a fucking.
Yeah.
It's like a meditation retreat right now.
I mean, I think the way it has to be taken is they're just essentially conceding the point. If they're not willing to forward an actual argument or counter argument, then they're just going to have to cede the point. But I do want to kind of get a little further into this. So you said the podcast is sexist. We kind of went back and forth on the definition of sexism. Why don't you articulate how the podcast is sexist?
It seems just like typical red pill
Yeah.
podcasting.
What is that? Give me an example of that.
Just like guys attacking women, like
Yeah, give me an example.
like shutting us down, things like that. Like you it's your argument or nothing. Like there's no winning for us, no matter what we say.
We're challenging your worldview. Do you think challenging? Wait, it's almost
challenging
sexist in
is
the
fine,
reverse.
but it's like
to challenge a woman
it's-
is to be sexist.
It's
Okay.
one thing to challenge like an opinion or a viewpoint. It's another thing to have your mind set in stone that where you can't change it. Usually when you go into an argument or debate, one person is willing to change their mind at some point, or at least be
That
open to
wouldn't-
hearing
that wouldn't
a
make
new
you
point of
sexist.
view.
That wouldn't make you sexist if you go into an argument refusing to changing your mind. Most people go into a
It's
position.
just closed-minded. Like I'm just
Okay, sure, fine. They can. I'll go ahead and agree that it could be closed-minded.
Okay, sure. Then
That
we'll
does- I don't
just
think
say it as a
it's-
closed-minded then.
Yeah, it's a great goalpost shift, but I'm still waiting to hear an example of how the podcast is sexist.
I tried to give you one, but it's not good enough. That was my
So how's
Input.
it sexist?
that was my input right there. What I just said.
That we challenge your worldview?
It's not challenging the worldview. We literally, when we go into something, it feels like because we're all women, you're saying something,
If
we're
it was a
saying
guy,
something,
sorry, go ahead.
and you don't want, you wouldn't be able to have your mind changed at all by any of us, right? It's only your way or the highway. So I feel like that's a little sexist.
How would that be sexist?
Because you
If it
won't
was-
allow a woman to show you anything new.
Hold on. So if it was
About
a
how they
guy,
feel, like-
if it was a man in your position espousing the
And
exact
see,
same, hold
I
on,
can put-
hold on.
okay.
If it was a guy sitting there espousing the exact same viewpoints, I would challenge them all the same.
Right, but I can put myself in your shoes. You won't put yourself in
No, you
our
can't.
shoes. Yes, I
would
can.
make the same argument that you haven't
But
conceded
you,
anything.
you told me, how would you feel, if when you're grappling, you see your girl grappling with a guy, right? In your head, you're saying guys think a certain way and that they're firing off in their brain. It's all close and sexual and they're getting sexual intrusion thoughts, right? So that's how men perceive it, right? You perceive it as, well, a man is just going to think all these impulsive thoughts. And
Yeah,
as
that's
a
difference of
woman,
opinion. How would that be sexist? But go ahead.
right? No, and then I'm saying as a woman, I think the same way about running into a man like you do. I think, oh, he could do this, he could do that, and then you think the same way as, oh, well, this and that could happen. It's the probability. Whereas, like, if you go into a nightclub and you're saying a woman's going to get hit
false
on,
equivalence. It's not related
it's
at all.
not, because if you go into, you don't feel as comfortable one-on-one with a man alone as a woman. And just like you wouldn't want your girl in the club because all these things could happen. It's the same kind of concept. You're like saying that we're not allowed to have these opinions and feelings. It's not sexist to have these opinions and feelings. Just like you have, as a man, these opinions and feelings about other men in the club, like, and about women. So when a woman goes in, your dynamic is that she can't handle being hit on by all these people. So, sorry.
I mean, it's not an equivalent, this preference, and also I listed out multiple other reasons as to why it's an issue for me, but I don't see that mapping on one-to-one.
I do.
In any case, you're saying there's a double standard that exists. I haven't yet heard an actual example of how the show or how Jimbob is sexist. You can say we're mean, you can say we're jerks, you can say we're closed-minded.
Okay, then we'll go with closed-minded.
Okay, so
then.
you're walking back to
Sure.
sexist. Okay. All right. It's ridiculous, but and I just want you to know that I think you're sexist.
Okay,
So there you have it, folks.
Dude, I can't
There you have it. I need to
that's fine.
read these chats here. Let's see, Lucas, their protestations notwithstanding, the entire panel is nothing more than a cadre of men-hating feminism. Unfortunately for them, the only byproduct of this dogmatic man-hatred is to foment, to which he responds, real and actual misogyny, which, if you haven't noticed, is becoming more and more prevalent. But hey, keep on spouting off your feminist vapid prattle. You sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. Ooh, oh my goodness. Shakespeare. This guy's
Biblical
fucking
Lucas is gonna
Shakespeare
drop a
in
band
the
today.
flesh.
Oh, it's Lucas.
God dang, Lucas. That was beautiful. That
Poet.
was beautiful. Oh, Rachel Wilson, if I was making the same argument as Jimbob, you wouldn't call them sexist. He is objectively right. You objectively are retarded. That's from Rachel Wilson. Yikes. Good times. Good talk. Good talk. Okay.